Etymology and historical origin of the baby name Rhett. We're not sure if you give a damn, but the name Rhett is actually the transferred use of a Dutch surname. Rhett is the anglicized form of derived, which comes from the Middle Dutch word Raedt, meaning advice, counsel. The surname was brought to the United States by Dutch settlers in the late 1600s, particularly in the region of the Carolinas, present-day Charleston, South Carolina, where the Rhett family became particularly prominent. Robert Rhett was a well-known secessionist and deeply pro-South politician during the Civil War era. What makes the name Rhett really notable, however, is its literary currency. Margaret Mitchell used the name Rhett Butler for her counterpart protagonist to the heroine Scarlett O'Hara in her 1936 classic Gone with the Wind. Rhett Butler is one of the most memorable characters ever created in American literature. Mitchell used very Southern and sometimes unusual names for her many characters in the novel, so it's no surprise she would take the well-established Charleston family name Rhett and use it as her character's first name. Rhett Butler himself hailed from Charleston. Perhaps Mitchell understood the etymology of her character's name because Rhett Butler was often dispensing advice to his fellow Southerners regarding their weak prospects for winning the Civil War, and we now know Rhett was right. In fact, throughout the book, he employs his cool-headed counsel. For more information on Rhett Butler's illustrious place in American literature, see literary references below. Because the name is so strongly associated with American fiction, the name Rhett has been little used outside of the United States, except occasionally in Canada and Australia. Personality of the boy named Rhett. The number 8 personality has everything to do with power, wealth, and abundance. Somehow, this personality has been blessed on the material plane, but their authoritative and problem-solving traits provide evidence that their good fortunes are not just the luck of the lottery. They are well-earned. This is the personality of CEOs and high-ranking military personnel. 8s are intensely active, hard-driving individuals. Success is only meaningful to them after a job well done. They are remarkable in their ability to see the larger picture right down to the smallest details and organize a strategy around success. They then have the ability to direct a group around them toward any goal and realize individual potential to get the most out of their team. Popularity of the boy named Rhett. Remarkably, the name Rhett did not appear on the American male naming charts until 1955, almost a full 20 years after the publication of Gone with the Wind. The name Scarlett first appeared in 1940. Furthermore, Rhett has never been a particularly common name, despite his existence on the charts for over 50 years. Since we've crossed over the threshold into the 21st century, however, the name is now reaching its highest historic levels on the naming charts. This may have something to do with a renewed interest in names associated with literary significance. Still, the name Rhett is not popular by any means and used with only the mildest of moderation. In other words, Rhett is still an uncommon choice for a boy's name. There's no doubt about it, the name Rhett is as handsome as the GWTW character. It has a suave and chivalrous Southern sensibility, and a striking one-syllable sound. It's been over 75 years since Rhett Butler made his entrance on to the great American literary stage, so it's not unfathomable that younger parents don't even know who he is, which would be a shame. It's impossible not to fall in love with the character of Rhett Butler, just as it's impossible not to adore his name. Frankly, my dear, you should give a damn. We advise you to reconsider this classic, underused moniker. Quick facts on Rhett. Gender, boy. Origin, Dutch. Number of syllables, 1. Ranking popularity, 425. Pronunciation, Rhett. Simple meaning, advice, counsel. Characteristics of Rhett. Powerful, tenacious, problem solver, wealthy, authoritative, tough, achiever. Cultural references to the baby name, Rhett. Literary characters of the baby name Rhett. Author Donald McCaig received full authorization by the Margaret Mitchell estate to write Rhett Butler's People, the astonishing and long-awaited novel that parallels the great American novel, Gone with the Wind. 12 years in the making, The publication of Rhett Butler's People marks a major and historic cultural event. Through the storytelling mastery of award-winning writer Donald McCaig, the life and times of the dashing Rhett Butler unfolds. Through Rhett's eyes we meet the people who shaped his larger-than-life personality as it sprang from Margaret Mitchell's unforgettable pages: Langston Butler, Rhett's unyielding father; Rosemary, his steadfast sister; Tunis Bonneau, Rhett's best friend and a one-time slave; Belle Waddling, the woman for whom Rhett cared long before he met Scarlett O'Hara at 12 Oaks Plantation, on the fateful eve of the Civil War. Of course there is Scarlett. Katie Scarlett O'Hara, the headstrong, passionate woman whose life is inextricably entwined with Rhett's, more like him than she cares to admit, more in love with him than she'll ever know, brought to vivid and authentic life by the hand of a master. Rhett Butler's People fulfills the dreams of those whose imaginations have been indelibly marked by Gone with the Wind. Rhett Butler was the hero of Margaret Mitchell's 1936 classic, Gone with the Wind, and was brilliantly portrayed by Clark Gable in the 1939 movie of the same name. Pick an enhancing adjective, any adjective, and it applies to Rhett. He is at once handsome, dashing, sexy, masterful, confident, gentlemanly, patriotic, brave, swashbuckling, witty, manly, and insouciant. Had enough? No, neither have we. He is also a fabulous husband and an adoring father. And poor little Scarlett doesn't cotton, no pun intended, to all this until it's too late. And, unfortunately, for all of us romantic daydreamers, it is too late. Tomorrow is another day for Scarlett, as she begins to plot to get him back, having finally come to her senses, but it is not another day for Scarlett with Rhett. He is gone. Gone with the wind. And oh, how we mourn his leaving. Famous people named Rhett. Rhett Akins, country musician; Rhett Miller, alternative country musician; Rhett Warrener, hockey player; Rhett Davies, music producer; Rhett Lawrence, music producer/songwriter.